Hi, it's Miss Richardson. How are you doing today? Well, last week we worked together on arrays lesson 1, and this week we're going to be working on arrays lesson 2. And I mentioned last week that we will be moving into multiplication, and it is time. So let's get started. So let's go ahead and just review our vocabulary words. So last week we talked about what is an array. Well, an array is an arrangement of objects, pictures, or numbers in columns and rows. And a rectangular array is a group of objects that are arranged in equal rows and columns. Well, what are those rows and columns? Do you remember? Yes, columns are the vertical parts of an array, and they go up and down, right? And then rows are the horizontal parts of an array, and they go across. So an array is made of horizontal rows and vertical columns. And over here, you can see we've made our multiplication sentence. So let's find out how to truly make that. Remember our visuals that we like to use to remember rows and columns. These ducks are in a row, and these columns go up and down. So remember, by looking at the pictures, you can visualize the way that a row would go or the way that a column would go. Now, how do we create an array? So using rows and columns of arrays is a more efficient, or what we said last week, easier way to count a model of repeated addition or multiplication. So counting items in arrays is a form of skip counting. So let's take a look at the basics of an array. Again, we have our rows which go across horizontally, and then we have our columns that go down and up vertically. You already know all this, so I'm going to go just run through it. Now it's time to create our multiplication number sentence or equation. So first, let's talk about it. So using the rows and columns, you can create equations with multiplication. So first thing I'm going to do is I have to count the number of rows. How many rows do we have? Let's see. 1, 2. I have 2 rows. Well, how many do I have in each of those rows? 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 2 rows of 4 smiley faces. So to create that equation, or number sentence, you simply put 2 times 4 is equal to 8. So 2 rows of 4 smiley faces is the same as 2 times 4 is equal to 8. So the first number that you'll have here is your rows, and you multiply it times how many smiley faces are in your row. Pretty simple, right? Well, let's go summarize it. All right. So arrays are a way to add using rows and columns that make it easier to count a model using multiplication. So you start with your rows. How many rows do we have? 2, right? 1, 2, and I like to label mine. So 2 rows of 4 smiley faces in each row, right? Let's count them again. How many do we have in each row? 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we just create our multiplication sentence or equation. We take our 2 rows and multiply it times how many we have in the row, 4, and it is equal to 8. You did your first multiplication sentence with me today. Maybe you've done them in the past with someone else, but first time with me today. So 2 times 4 is equal to 8. And if you ever have any questions, you can always come back to this lesson to help you with remembering how to set up a multiplication sentence using an array. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.